Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Conalberg.
This is Rangru, hello.
And folks, I'm sorry to say we're not giving you any of the Terrible Divisions tournament, but we are going to give you some actual kind of, let's say, regular play over here on Orsha East. Rang, who do we have? What do they bring into the fray?
On the left-hand side in the blue, we have ourselves IWontheInternet playing its fourth Fallschirmjaeger Maverick income. Right-hand side in red, we have ElBurro playing the first Polish division with a Maverick income as well.
Well, you know, it's over. 13:11, time for us to go home. Time to start the video, everybody. You can just, we'll see you on Thursday. Oh, 12:12. Okay, never mind. We gotta go back to it. But, so we have the Poles, we have Fallschirmjaeger, we got Italians, we got, well, a lot of Eastern Europeans, Central Europeans. What should we be expecting other than just yes, infantry spam?
Well, I think it's just gonna be yes. Just infantry spam. Of course, Poles do have the more numerous, cheaper tanks, which honestly work well on this map. It'd be a bit harder for the Fallschirmjaeger to spread their legs, to spread their rings, I should say, with their more heavier and beefier tanks. And we're seeing actually pretty heavy play down south here.
Yeah, I was going to say this about spreading their legs. I was like, Rang, we're not that kind of channel.
You know where my mind is, and it's definitely not up above.
No, certainly south of the border a little bit, aren't we here? But yeah, you're right. Lots of play down to the south. Actually, we have M3A1s like going like nuts. But the funny thing is, super early IL2, and this is not the whole carpet bombing variety. This is we're going to drop big amounts of kaboom, and that is exactly what happens pretty consistently.
Yeah, definitely going to be forcing those infantry to rethink their life choices and allowing the superiors and the descent need to keep time to get onto the front line here.
But the early BF-110 actually takes out the IL-2, which isn't too surprising. I think it's pretty heavily armed, to be fair. But losing the IL-2 is not something you really want to be doing over here with the Poles, because infantry spam is all well and good, cheap tanks are all well and good, but I get the feeling if you go longer and longer, the 4th Fallschirmjaeger does have a bit of a quality advantage.
Yeah, both sides definitely have a bit of air spam, and as per usual, the Polish IL-2 spam is something to be dreaded. So using those 110s, it's a very cheap and effective interceptor, works extremely well to counter the Pole position, and he needs to, because the Poles are taking a fantastic position down south. Volkerwolf getting a very good bombing run in, but they've pretty much got the forest now. If they slap a few AT guns in there, they're good to go.
Oh, don't you worry, we have a Stug 42, oh, M42, let me be more precise here, coming on in. So the Italians are coming to the fray, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy, it's a Stug I have at home.
Yeah, exactly. I think both of us have a, more heavily armed cars that we drive to work in. But hey, if it works, it works, I suppose. The Paradis Assaultos being forced out by the Desantniki, well, the Polish Desantniki, essentially. And one thing I actually like seeing out of this 4th deck was actually the AS-42s, those 20 mils, early on.
Yeah,
please.
No, that's very good fly support.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of a shame that they only come 2 to the card, because those 20 mils are actually surprisingly good super early on.
Yeah, it's also a really cool vehicle because they designed them for desert warfare, North Africa, to fight like British SAS and Long Range Desert Group in like Sahara Desert.
Huh.
So you have like those guys, the Italians with that car, going Mad Max, and a bunch of British guys in Jeeps with Vickers guns.
Shockingly enough, this might be one of the rare times that the Italians outgun them considerably.
Indeed. But
with BF-110, BF-109's making endless runs of the BA-10, which at long last finally kills it. But there's a 37mm pop gun that's going to start to engage the BF-110. And not for nothing, I think I'd rather get the BF-110 out of there, because that thing is still deliciously powerful when all is said and done.
Yeah, and he is going to get out. And we're seeing heavy counter-investment here from IWontheInternet. He is not content in losing the southern side. He's bringing out the Tiger, he's got the Stug, or another Stug, as well as a bunch of Fallschirmjagers going to be pushing that forest. And honestly, that's a decent amount of firepower. There's not really any heavy AT here from the Polish. A 45mm is being brought into that forest. So he should be able to get a foothold back in there.
And I was actually going to take a quick look to see what the central town is kind of going on. This is usually Hamburger Hill. But shockingly, there's not been that much fighting thus far. I think everyone's been so concerned about the southern side that the center doesn't really matter that much. Heck, even the north only has a minimum amount of territory being exchanged here. Yes, it's enough for 1410, but other than that, it's really not a whole lot.
Yeah, it's usually quite unorthodox, as you usually see some side, either left or right, try to bum rush the center in some crazy opening push, whether it's with 50 cal jeeps or flamethrower teams, but no, everyone's happy and sitting on the 50-yard line and just letting, the poor buggers in the south do most of the fighting.
Kind of humorous thing for me is that, there certainly is a bit of Orthodox play there. I mean, there's the Orthodox Church right there in the middle of the map. No one seems to be going after it. So, now, first Duke comes on in and somehow manages to not die immediately to the 45 mil. In fact, it is quick enough that it can aggress past a lot of the issues. And it looks like the infantry, the Parakenda Distutsi, and I'm going to butcher that obviously, still deadly enough they're able to take out the supporting anti-tank teams. Unfortunately, M42 over there is still enough to kill. But there still also is enough of these other heavier vehicles that the M45 has to get forced back pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely a very ballsy maneuver with that stuck, but honestly, I think it paid off pretty well. We saw here ElBurro just pulled off all of his infantry from the front line of that forest, and this is giving IWontheInternet an opportunity to rush in and gain that foothold. He's not going to be fast enough to do it, however, actually hooking around from the Fallschirmjagers all the way up north, and he's going to be positioning that Tiger on the road, which, if he does that perfectly, he should maybe get... Yeah, he can barely get an angle or he can shoot right down the road in that forest, but no, he is just going to be continuing the march forward.
Well, I think right now he's afraid that maybe, just maybe, the Polish have run some of the 76-2s a little bit earlier over here in A. He obviously doesn't know what we know, which is the heaviest thing he's got to be dealing with right now is that 45 mil.
Yeah. Now, close range, that 45 mil does have potential of not killing, but doing some good critical hits on the Tiger. But the Tiger, with all its Tigery machine guns as well as a sniper coming in to get an epic 360 no-scope on the last crewman.
And that's true, which actually gives us a second as the Tiger kind of stabilizes things down to the south to take a look up to the northern side, because Strelki, 76-2, Sapirtsis, Descents, all of them are being brought to the northern side. So I'm thinking we're getting ready for another push here.
Yeah, I actually quite like it, considering ElBurro has taken a lot of pressure down south, and we've seen heavy investment from IWontheInternet down there. Just doing a surprise northern attack could prove to be quite well, but also IWontheInternet is bringing up reinforcements here as well, so this may not be as much as a walk of a park. Bloody Tiger, that is quite a heavy investment. And a 37 mil. Good God.
Yes, but I kind of actually very much like this. This is one of those things that even if you know that your enemy is massing stuff to the south, and you can see right now it's practically hand-to-hand down there. Or Luigi to hand, I suppose. But besides the point, we have this whole idea of just like, you have to know your opponent is a canny fellow and is going to try to push in other areas. I mean, of course, I'm sure these guys watch all of our casts over here. So
I'm sure everybody does.
Oh, exactly.
They should.
Exactly. I mean, the entire internet is really missing out on this particular thing. So it's really up to you, dear viewers, to share the message. But, our growing cult aside, northern side, if you have your enemies clearly kind of stopgapping you, you have to push someplace else. But you have to also expect your enemy to do the same thing. So we have this weird play of, do I know that he knows that I know kind of thing back and forth. And I really don't know who's coming out ahead here, other than, for the moment, ElBurro.
Yeah, that was a very good call, like, 6th stuff. IWontheInternet bringing in that reinforcement. Chat Tiger up north can prove to be quite a hassle. SU-57 does... Oh,
it's potential.
Plus IL-2. Never mind, that's going to come in. And let me guess, he's just going to one-shot kill it.
Well, actually, the 20 mils actually might force it off before it gets a chance. There we go.
Okay, the mind casts his curse. Once again, usually you should just shut up when things like that happen and just let it play out.
Fear not, good sir, fear not. I'm sure that the Tiger's going to present its side over here to the Su-57 and get blown to smithereens. But we are back to a 12-12. And with... Actually, the Strelki lines to the south are not looking as healthy as they were a little while ago.
Yeah, we are seeing a heavy investment in armor here from IWontheInternet. It's helping out quite a bit. Of course, yeah, Forest is very heavily infested with poles. It is slowly but surely the Italians are moving on through, but he's gonna need some more infantry reinforcements to probably clear that out. There's a bunch of superior rock.
Well, the Saperti against the Per de Assalto, like, the Assalto, those guys are practically Papa Shah level. Just deadly.
They're even better.
Oh,
that
right,
Beretta is even better.
Right. Because they have the extra range, yeah, because the Papa Shah I can never recall is 100 meters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, so the extra 50 meters, oh, these guys are deliciously powerful. Almost as good, I would say, as being some STG-44s, but, you know, not quite an option there.
But I do like his Fallschirmjaeger on the hill. That's providing some very useful fire support, yeah. Gonna help pin down those penal troops. And I do like the calling of the radio mortar, 81mm. That can definitely even the archery. He's going to be using that for counter battery play and getting some very juicy hits on the 37.
Which is kind of, I'm not going to say an unsung moment here, because we're definitely singing about it right now. Ooh, IL-2 is coming the other direction. Interestingly, the IL-2 they're bringing in, going out to the Fallschirmjaeger, he doesn't really care about really suppressing anything else, which tells you really how important that squad is.
Indeed.
Though
seeing more infantry reinforcements here from the 4th. Strelczy's going to push on through after clearing them out, but BF-110, he's going to try to get his pound of flesh.
BF-110 agility, yeah. It's not often you get to see agility worst. But there we have it. There we have it.
We've got a second run coming in. If you can't dogfight, you just let your ringman do the actual dogfighting.
Unfortunately, he's going to get forced away both by the IL-2 tail gunner as well as 37mm. So
yeah, managing to unstress himself in the nick of time.
Certainly seems to be the case. Focke-Wulf 190, though, going towards the, let's call it the neck of the old upside-down gingerbread man here. Taken out some of the M3A1, so that light kind of anti-infantry support that was going on there, not quite as powerful as it could have been. Regardless, still enough ground fire that I think a lot of the Luftwaffe play over here, and the Italian flying circus over here as well. I don't know, they're not going to be able to get the same level of oomph that you need to really be getting a push through the front lines.
Indeed. It does feel like IWontheInternet definitely has a bit of that momentum advantage. He's been trading pretty effectively, and he has a good amount of forces up north and down south. If you look up north, he's got the 20mm clown card, the Tiger's still alive. He's been pretty good at keeping his heavy tanks alive, which is definitely beneficial when you don't have a whole lot of them. I feel like he can either just try to push heavy down south and clear that out, or maybe try to do something crazy up north. Oh, SU-85 up north, though, may have something to say about that.
It may, but the Tiger should also be able to get that key. Okay. Down south, though, you were saying about the push, and I think he heard you. IWontheInternet is certainly being very aggressive here. The Carney troops, being disheartened, decided to throw in the towel right there. And the Per de Assaltos and Gustatori paratroopers are being moved on in as well. So there's one officer squad, and a couple more trucks just kind of bringing in another wave of flesh for the factory here.
Yeah, and we're seeing the Stags push the hill. That is PTRD infantry, which does have the potential of killing those Stags or getting some good critical hits in. But I feel like this will be, IWontheInternet will be taking this position quite easily now.
Unfortunately, the Strokes, though, don't have anything besides 10 rounds of HE on one of them. The leading tank right there actually has absolutely nothing whatsoever.
Oh, they don't even get machine guns.
No.
Oh, that's just pathetic.
That's Italian. Now, Strelki against the Gustatori. Like, I know you have your own opinion with this. SVTs really should be that the Strelkis take this out, but the Berettas, for some reason, with the M91s, seem to imply that there's a chance. Oh, never mind. What do they do?
Yeah, the 150-meter SMGs in this game are absolutely insane. Not just because they get extra range, but because of how the accuracy calculation works. At 100 meters, they're even more accurate compared to like an MP40 or PPS-8 because you get bonuses for getting in closer.
That's certainly good to know here. I'm seeing another big cat being brought to the center, so we're getting this kind of bastion approach in terms of heavy tanks that you kind of half referenced before, which I think is a really, really cool thing here. 1410, by the way, we kind of missed that right over there. She's starting to kind of rapidly move the other direction, and a Yak 1B coming in, losing eyesight and stuff, but the Focke-Wulfs, not to be deterred. One's going after the infantry, and the BF-110's going after everything else.
Yep, and the Tigers duel on the SU-85 once again. And in a run-and-run duel, that Tiger seems to be getting the upper hand. It was the second SU-85 being brought on in. Could have maybe came in a bit sooner. Yeah. Engaging that thing run-on-run is not exactly ideal. I mean, you're playing the Soviets after all.
No, they're playing the Poles. Technically not the Soviets just yet. But...
give them a couple years.
Exactly. Not to be pedantic here, but, that's our job.
Oh, it's another heavy tank up north.
Mutual death.
Whoa. But still, not a terrible trade, considering he's going to be replacing him with a Panther.
And a Panther Fuhrer at that.
Be furious about that Tiger getting blown up.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to have to claws out for everything. I do like the fact that we're starting to see more 37 mils being brought in over here for the 4th Fallschirmjaeger. You need that air cover, that ground cover against the air, rather. Especially since, there's definitely a potential to bring in another additional 2 IL-2s. The carpet bombing variety, that is.
Yeah, the cluster bombers are definitely his biggest threat to his heavy tanks, and as we've seen time and time again with heavy tank playing 1v1s, they're so vulnerable. Also, his 37 mil is vulnerable to his BA-10. He could potentially get sniped before he can do anything. That would not be ideal. That's not ideal.
Exactly. That's a bit of a problem there. That's a bit of a problem. But, ooh, what do I see down south? Yep, here comes the IL-2 rush. So the Tiger's going to get hit by the carpet bombs, and he's not going to be able to get out of there in time, and yes.
Be some very good pickoffs here from ElBurro. If he does manage to pick off that Tiger.
He will. It's completely unstopped. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, those are some very good trades from ElBurro. It's definitely going to help him, regain momentum. He's still, I don't feel like he's, unless he has a push coming immediately to try to get into that forest before IWontheInternet can heavily defend it. And okay, he's bringing in 2 T-34s. If he just brings in some more infantry, he could potentially get a foothold back into the forest.
Now, I might be incorrect. I don't think we've seen too many anti-tank guns really being positioned thus far.
No, not really.
Shouldn't there be a couple of PaK-40s over here for the 4th?
Yeah, you can get a couple PaK-40s and some of those PaK-41s and even more jankier Stugs. But not a whole lot, no.
I'm surprised actually we haven't seen the occasional anti-tank position being rounded up here. Another Panther being brought into the southern side. And I think it's just because we are headed toward C phase, of course, which is when both of these guys are going to have to really catch their breath. Because as of right now, there's not a whole lot they can really be doing.
Yeah, IWontheInternet is going to be pretty careful into C phase, because he can't really be affording to buy more heavy tanks. He doesn't even have a whole lot left. So if he starts losing those heavy tanks, or more of them, he's going to be in for a rough time. Rather, ElBurro of the T-34 spam can keep up his tank advantage. Even though they don't have the quality, you have the quantity. And on a map like his, quality, if you fight in advantageous areas, works out pretty well.
The gingerbread head, though, is going to go over here, I think, to the 4th Fallschirmjaeger, as we see a Fuhrer being backstopped by 4 other squads. Yeah, these guys are going to push all the way through.
Yeah, and as we know, Fallschirmjägers are absolutely nutty in regards to firepower. They're just going to completely beat up these rather ill-equipped Poles.
Now, Sapirti is being brought on in, but I think these Fallschirmjägers, yeah, they're going to be able to get and put an absurd amount of firepower down on these approaching Sapirti pretty darn soon here.
Yep, and caught out in the open, they are going to get buggered.
Especially with the addition of the Panther backing them up too. Jeez. That is vicious right there. We're up to 15-9. As the Piercy caught out in the open, can't do anything besides die, and the 45 mil goes down. That's a big issue as well. Now, only one to really watch out for is those recon troops from the northern side who are holding their fire. IL-2 forced into a panic. Now, the Fallschirmjägers, right now, yep, they're going to pick off those recon troops, and that is a beautiful moment for that Panther because he's no longer going to get absolutely shreked by that Faust.
And that is such a big position to hold once you capture onto that hill, especially considering he has the heavy tank advantage. You put that Panther on the edge of the hill and you just snipe those T-34s that get anywhere close. You treat it like curse.
Well, the funny thing is, down to the southern side, that Panther that replaced its dead cousin has 3 of those Carney squads that are just kind of trooping towards them in like this march of just absolute obscene death.
It's like those stories of Soviets getting penal troops run across minefields.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is kind of the Imperial Guard from 40k. Like, throw enough bodies at it, they'll get over it eventually. But yeah, and I imagine as we get these other kind of paras over here to the northern side of this forest, the T-34s are being panicked, they're being thrown back in disarray. IL-2 is being thrown in a desperate attempt to force them back. There's still 37 mil here, so he's going to definitely scratch some paint. This is not going to get everything done.
Oh, there's bunched up, yo. So they're going to get double stressed. Not going to get a single bomb off here. That was a bit of poor micro. I think he could have got one set of bombs off if he separated them out a bit.
And that, honestly, that's a big loss there, because the utilization goes way down on that. And just what you were saying before, the Panther in the middle of the field, I don't think he took out... Yep, nope, never mind. He took out those 2 T-34s coming on in. So, yeah, ElBurro is looking quite like an ass right about now.
Yeah, he is not exactly doing great into C phase, and also considering C phase is a little bit harder now to make any offenses. And SU-85 on the hill gets sniped from the Panther. IWontheInternet is getting some very good trade, and he's got some very good geography under his feet.
And the thing, actually, I kind of like this as well. This is something that I've always wanted to kind of describe. I've never really been able to articulate it. There's a lot of players who will take, a 13-11 and sit, or a 14-10 and sit. But the fact that right now, I1 says, you know what? I have the advantage. And you can definitely use really good, like you said, geography on this map to really justify and continue to put pressure and continue to put pressure. And I really, really like seeing that here in the central position to start.
Yeah, his game sense has pretty much been on point, especially earlier on with bringing up the reinforcements to reinforce north before that attack came. Like, that's a skill which, some players just end up having. It really makes or breaks, especially when you get to higher skill levels in Steel Division or War Game. It's just that game sense of knowing roughly where the enemy is, for the back of your eyes, back of your head. That sixth sense.
Exactly. But right now, I think ElBurro certainly has it happening. He does see dead people. Unfortunately, they're all his dead people. We are going to see a potential hero IL-2 come in. Oh, never mind.
Nope. The anti-air is also absolutely on point, and without the IL-2 spam, the Poles are going to have a very tough time dealing with those heavy tanks.
But things, you got 122s that are desperately trying to engage the Flak 88s, which is a noble idea, as is the 82 mil. But that's not the thing that's killing you. You still, even if you just stress them out, you have to continue to put pressure on the heavy tanks. That's where it has to be the entire time.
Yeah, and just looking at the battlefield, ElBurro just doesn't exactly have a whole lot left to really push with. He has a few T-34 scattered here, yeah, but the geography IWontheInternet has got these massive fields between him and the opponent, which is ideal when you have long-range, accurate anti-tank guns.
Yes, absolutely true. Yak 1B gonna desperately be trying to go and get a kill here. Gonna get force back. Again, 37 mils. Really, really good. Jeez, and gets taken on out here. Potentially we see 2 for 2. Maybe a second cheeky kill by ground fire. certainly there. Potentially
Maybe.
smoking. And ElBurro stops before we can get our last, pound of flesh here. Looking at the KD, a perfect 1,000 between the two of them. And like you said, I won the internet. Excellent, excellent game sense throughout a lot of this.
Indeed. And looking at the kills, ElBurro did not manage to get anything too crazy. At the same time, you're playing the Poles. They don't really have many super units.
True. Focke-Wulf 190 of here for Sentius. This is one of those ground attack planes. Very, very successful. Good job there. Heck. M42, not point-wise really being super efficient, but still strong. Parity assaulters, you can see the success that they have there. The funny thing is, if you look at the heavy tanks, the heavy tanks don't really kill that much, but their area denial in this particular match was almost without peer. You can't say a whole lot.
Yeah, they just set up in position and said, hey, you want to come at me? I don't think you do. You stay 2 kilometers away. That's my safety distance.
So at that point, it's just, Gandalf being like, you shall not pass. And that's exactly what happened here. So I won the internet. Well, he certainly won the internet match today. That's for sure.
I think if Gandalf had a Panther A, he could have been able to stop the Balrog.
I'd like to think so too, but the darkness is certainly a very, very powerful thing. I'm not really sure this is going back to the Shadow necessarily by himself, but that's a question for a different day. Regardless, any other thoughts here, sir?
No.
All right, well, folks, in that case then, seems pretty open and shut. Until Thursday, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.